One of the statements that you made, repeatedly in the past was around China, how China is a legitimate, and you just made it today as well. Like China is really the legitimate competitor to say even Tesla, but really one of the giant players moving forward in electrification. Do you feel more and more emboldened the more we go into sort of the present and the future, that's really becoming the like how we reached a point where this is a sort of like a done deal, and the other players are kind of, like it's going to be China and Tesla and that's it? Or is there still a chance for, say, your Ford and GMs and everybody else and Volkswagen to legitimately make a dent in here before they become too dominant? How do you think about that?
Okay, so let's talk about the number one player in the automotive world is Toyota. Toyota dropped 2 million cars, maybe more this year, and I think they're going to be down to 7 million next year. That's a hell of a drop from 11 or 12 million down to 7 million. Why? Because they didn't stay focused on what was important, and what was important was electrification through batteries, not hydrogen. And I don't know how many times I've said this, but probably too many. Hydrogen is good for large airplanes, large ships, large trucks, not cars. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's just another hybrid as far as I'm concerned. Hybrids are useless. Why would I want to carry around the extra weight, fuel tanks and everything? It's like stupid. There's no reason for having it. So that's kind of like why Toyota is going to drop. Volkswagen, too many marketing guys making noises about, hey, I got a good idea. Let's try and push biodiesel. And I've gotten some, unfortunately, I can't give them out, but I've gotten letters that were delivered like via, post office things. People that are working there and telling me that VW went on a marketing campaign to change everybody's mind. That doesn't work. And so VW is going to also take a gigantic hit. GM sat on their hands too long. Basically, we've tried to trace back, where did range anxiety come from? That's probably from GM marketing. Now they're trying their best to catch up, but I mean, they picked technologies that are going to be passé in a very near future, and they made a mistake. And BMW, Mercedes, Honda went in the wrong direction as well. All these guys, they believed the big consulting houses. So, I mean, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but I'm going to tell you what my next read is. Can you give me that book? My next read.
Book recommendation by Sandy. I love this.
A book recommendation.
Start a book club.
Yes. Oh, there we are. When McKinsey Comes to Town. Okay. I have used that line quite a bit, because the big giant companies do what the big boss wants, or what's going to be good for the big boss, not necessarily what's going to be good for the economy. Almost never for the economy. They can take big companies and shrink them down into small ones like overnight. Good example, GE. Amazing. When I was a kid, GE made everything from light bulbs to jet engines. Not much now. So I think that they were listening to all of the big giant conglomerate consulting houses, and they weren't paying enough attention to the people, the governments, the environmentalists, the pretty much everybody. They told the big management what they wanted to hear. Oh, you're on the right path. Don't worry about anything. 2044, 2045. That's when you need to make a decision. And that's what wound up happening. In China, that did not happen at all. So BYD, I think, is going to give Tesla a run for their money, because BYD has got huge factories for making batteries. They own tremendous amounts of mines and refining areas, or at least have great big giant claws in those that are doing it. And they've been, and no one said a word before. I mean, okay, Trump made a lot of noise about China, and now Biden's making a lot of noise about China. Okay, that's fine, but you know what? Nobody made any noise 10 or 15 years ago when they were buying up all the different mineral rights and all the different contracts for making sure that they were going to have enough to get everything they needed to get done. So yes, I think China will be very dominant. It's going to be similar to the Japanese invasion that happened in the late 70s and early 80s. And when General Motors went from 60% market share down to, I don't know what they got now, 15 or something. I really don't care. But it dropped an awful lot. And Toyota went from a joke. The first Toyota I saw had a chain drive. Are you kidding me? A car with a chain drive? That's like ridiculous. Not now. Now they're, or let's say for right now, they're the biggest. But I think there's going to be big changes coming down the pike real fast.
Okay. I know, Jordan, you came off mute, but I also wanted to throw it to Borkham. Did you have something you wanted to expand on this topic before I throw it over to our friend in the bottom left corner here, or are you good?
Like this Chinese invasion, BYD, etc. I imagine they're going to have to, or they're going to continue saturating their own market. But when do you expect that we'll really see a ramp of those vehicles in the United States, hitting like hundreds of thousands of vehicles per year? Is that something we should expect before 2025 or after 2025? Because I'm seeing the same thing. It's just when I look at the battery packs of other manufacturers compared to Teslas, and when I look at BYDs, there's two levels to the game. There's the structural packs, and then there's the old style last gen packs that everybody else is producing.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you ever saw the little video or whatever where I talk about the Valley of Death. Now, I called it Death Valley, but I don't use my own research all the time. If somebody agrees with me, then I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Hey, this looks like I could put two of these things right over the top of each other, hold it up to the ceiling here, the light, and I could see right through it, and it'd be so Connect the Dots also did the exact same thing as what I did. And I said 2025 is when the invasion will start. And it'll start because there's demand, but no supply. And that's when you're going to start to see big companies tripping over themselves, faltering, whatever you want to call it. And that is going to be the beginning of the end. And it's just like what happened when GM started bringing out little cars, the Vega. My brother had one of those. The engine seized up. Then they had all kinds of little cars that they just tried to make them cheap, and they didn't have what Toyota and Honda and actually at the time Datsun had. That it turned into Nissan, but that kind of stuff, they didn't have anything that could compete with that, and then they wound up losing. 2025, and then it's going to dip way into, and that's when the Valley of Death happens. So you can see the curve goes up and then it goes down like that. That's where it goes down like that. That's the supply from the conventional OEMs being eclipsed by the demand for the type of product. That's where we're going to see some bad things happening. And there it is, right there. It is. That is that's the chart from the folks over at Connect the Dots.